there is no such thing as a secret in the world that produces and wastes mass amount of plastic. Realizing the world that has a serious record of it and history as it, wondering how much plastic circulates around the globe, this issue started the day after plastic was invented. In defining the plastic, Geyer, Jemba, and Law define it as outgrown most man-made material which been circulating in our environment throughout the years. In research made by Pasteur 2018, there are 8 billion tons of plastics and 6.3 of these are circulating the globe. So technically, 79% of the plastics are circulated in oceans and landfills. Many of the countries suffer from this plastic which pollute different parts of the globe, especially lands, ocean, and etc. One of the countries experiencing this is the Philippines, which since most of the plastics are abundant in different places. So a group of researchers made the impossible by converting the plastic to a biodegradable plastic which is made of seaweed. Since seaweed is easy to grow, easy to harvest, and don't take time, seaweed become a contender to make difference in our world.
Weather disturbances have shown the great irregularities of how we treat our environment. It seems to be obvious, especially when it starts to rain. When the rain pours, the flood comes up, especially in Manila, wherein in August 2012, when Typhoon Saola Hener at Rojas Boulevard was enough to fill 230 dump trucks. Even though the government had its efforts to implement RA 9003, which is the Ecological Solid Waste Management Act, noticeably, there is still a lot of waste that we can find in our country, especially in Manila. Notably, one of the main monsters here in this situation are fast food restaurants, wherein a researcher named Jose Hilario conducted a research around FEU Manila, wherein their priorities in the green advocacy were shown. The restaurants are more prioritized on saving energy and water rather than recycling or reusing plastics. In 2008, Aileen C. Bernardo studied about what are the solid waste management practices of households in Manila. Bernardo gathered a barangay and documented their experience and practices of household waste management through an interview of villagers, waste collectors, and the likes. It was shown that right after food waste, the next solid wastes that were mostly used are polyethylene terephthalate bottles. And overall, in 2014, Le Breton, a researcher who roamed around the world to check how many plastic wastes do we have overall, states that the data showed the weight of plastic pollution globally was estimated to comprise 75.4% microplastic, 11.4% mesoplastic, 10.6% and 2.6% in microplastic sizes. And there are 233,400 tons of larger plastic items than microplastic.
Hi, I am Carlo Irvani and I am going to explain to you the science behind seaweeds and why it be beneficial. First of all, seaweeds can be produced anywhere as long as you have seashore or shoreline. Many countries do have access on coastline, so they can produce seaweeds as well. And this would give us a ton of supply. Next is seaweed is very easy to produce. You could produce 50 to 100 tons of seaweed every week. Now, we know that seaweeds comes from sea, right? So seaweed have this property that could hold a small amount of water. Using this property to packaging, it would make our food moist all the time. Next is seaweed is edible. So this makes our packaging edible as well. Imagine that the packaging is edible. That could lessen a lot of plastic production, and seaweed material packaging made this possible. Next is if you don't want to eat the packaging, as we said earlier, seaweed biodegrade for 4 to 6 weeks. Comparing it with plastic that biodegrade for 450 years, seaweed is a clear winner in here. Seaweed is our answer to plastic pollution, and this would be a huge change for Mother Earth.
In my discussion, I will be discussing why seaweed is an alternative way of plastic. First of all, seaweeds are cheap and it has many properties like plastic. It's considered cheap because the seaweed grows faster in a span of day. Because of this, the supply of seaweed is high and the demand is low. Therefore, the seaweed cost is high. Many researchers stated that seaweed is similar to the plastic without the toxic substance. Therefore, it is eco-friendly for the user and for the environment. Other countries started the use of seaweed as an alternative way of plastic. They use seaweed containers as a replacement of plastic containers, which the AMAM company started producing. Also an invention by Lolliware, a seaweed-based straw to replace plastic straw. And also a seaweed wrap that contains water for a replacement of plastic bottles that made by the skipping rock labs.
In conclusion, based on the research that the researchers conducted, it is safe to say that seaweed is a great alternative for plastic, as we are in an archipelago country and seaweed can be found literally anywhere through our shorelines. Seaweeds are also cheap and they degrade in a month and a half. The only problem that we may face is the transition problem. Transitioning from plastic to seaweed is similar to asking the Philippines to transition from 200 volts to 120 volts. It would take a lot of time and it would take a lot of investment. But overall, there should just be regulation so that the transition would be smooth.